Hello, people. An unexpected morning stream. Yes, an unexpected morning stream, which I didn't plan to do, but I kind of actually wanted to do because after this weekend has passed, we are 20 games into the season, which is more than halfway through as well. We cannot deny that. It's more than halfway through. Arsenal currently are sitting on top of the table, of course. Um, Man City drew against Chelsea yesterday. Villa kind of has fallen back since Arsenal did their thing against them, beating them 4-1 before the New Year's. Arsenal are sitting pretty comfortably right now. Arsenal are sitting pretty comfortably in the league right now. And it's looking very promising. I'm not gonna lie. It is looking very, very, very promising. Saying that, it's 6 points. So at the end of the day, it's not a lot. Anything can happen. Everything can change. As I said, we have still 18 games to go. But looking at the season, how the season is going, how the teams are performing, starting from Arsenal, ending with Wolves at the moment, Arsenal are the team that is only team, to be honest, in Premier League who is kind of maintaining any level of consistency. It might not be the game style, game play per se, but it's the fact that we still get 3 points on the board. We still get the points. We have 15 wins, 3 draws, 2 losses this season, and it's not looking bad. We are 6 points clear, and compared to last year, we finished last year with 20 wins, 14 draws, and 4 losses. We are almost at 20 wins already, which is great, which is fantastic. And if we look at the past in the 22-23 season, when we were 5 to 8 points clear, depending in which game week and after how many games you look at it, Arsenal might not look better maybe in the style of play, but they definitely look better in overall performance. If we talk about the depth, the squad, maybe the players that are coming on. Because our season derailed 3 years ago when Saliba got injured and we had to play Rob Holding us at center back, and that was just a nightmare waiting to happen. And right now we actually have some proper backups. Defense is as solid as it can be. Let's be real. No Chelsea defensive record levels, but still it's very impressive. Our midfield is doing its job. Sometimes feels like it's on its last legs because Zubimendi is getting no rest. Declan Rice is getting no rest. Somehow, luckily for us, Zubimendi hasn't been injured as of yet. Declan Rice is a bit of a worry. And of course, number 10 spot with Martin Odegaard, who has come back from injury. In the last 2.5 games, he has been actually very, very promising. I'm not gonna lie. It looks like he is improving. If he can keep building on that and get better by game, it's more power to us. It's more power to us at the end of the day. For me, obviously, the midfield attack connection is the one that is struggling at times. Yes, we might not get the wins the most prettiest way with loads of chances, expansive football, but we still get the ball in the back of the net, whether it's due to open play, whether it's due to set pieces, but different ways. Arsenal have figured out a way to score pretty much every single time, and we talked about this in the beginning of the season when we were scoring set pieces quite exclusively. To some degree, we had scored about 15 goals and only 4 were from open play, right? When we were talking that, we talked about this is not sustainable. And if set pieces dry up, we were talking about the fact that we need to find ways to score from open play. And luckily and thankfully enough, Arteta and the club figured it out before our set pieces dried up, which again put more power to us. Obviously, Gabriel got injured a little bit afterwards, which obviously didn't help us in terms of set pieces, but luckily we still had the option to score from open play, which is fantastic. Arsenal are doing a great job overall. Yes, I don't want to turn a blind eye to certain things, but at this stage we kind of actually can. To some degree, we shouldn't, but maybe these issues that are looming might be might be just, I just say, covered for now, right now, especially given the instances how many injuries we have had over the course of the season. Players are now coming back after yesterday's game for City, for example, who are quote-unquote our main rival. Let's just put it that way for the title. Apparently, Guardiola came off injured. Ruben Dias came off injured. 2 of their main defenders are now injured, which will be interesting to see how they deal with that. when Arsenal had these issues, yes, we had Mosquera, we had Hincapié, Timber played at center back at times. People were saying, well, let's see how Arsenal deal with that, but we passed it. I won't say with flying colors, but in the end, we got the job done. We got the points on the board, and we moved forward. Right now, it will be interesting to see what happens with City with these injuries. Because at the moment, looking at this, I think Aston Villa is going to be up there, but I think towards the end part of the season, like Liverpool did it before they won the league last year, they will be up there till like March, maybe April if they're lucky, and then they're going to fall off. So it's going to be City versus Arsenal. But Man City as well this season haven't shown that type of consistency that they actually could do it. They went on a good run, but right now they're again dropping. Arsenal is the only team who has maintained that level, the most consistent level so far. 20 games in, that's over half the season, and the more we can do it, the more power to us. And to some degree, how I look at this, it's Arsenal is Arsenal's worst enemy at the end of the day, because it doesn't look like Liverpool are up for it. I don't think Aston Villa will be up for it. Man City are not it, not having De Bruyne, not having, obviously, Gundogan, Mahrez, players like that. Definitely as well, it's not the same City. And Arsenal are finally in a position where they can do lots of damage. And it's very, very good to see. Very good to see. Big up, Bukayo Saka fan. Big up, big up, big up. Hope you're doing well this beautiful Monday. Hope the week has started for you great. And it hopes it keeps going for you great. Big up, Kirtan. Big up, big up, big up. If we beat Liverpool, I'll be confident. And City drop points against Brighton. To be honest, if we beat Liverpool, I will be quite. It will look like Arsenal are gonna do this. It definitely. It's looking tiny bit now, but against the Liverpool, it will be interesting to see what happens. Because if we beat Liverpool, it arguably is the hardest game we have at the moment in Premier League. Because Leeds, yes, Leeds are on a very good run at the moment, but we played them at the end of the month. What's gonna happen by then, we don't know, right? But Leeds at Ellen Road obviously has been a bit of a banana peel type of situation for Arsenal over the years when they have been in Premier League. But I believe Arsenal have enough power to destroy them because we beat them emphatically at home. So away, it's going to be tougher, but I think we will get the job done. Nottingham Forest are struggling heavily at the moment still. And who else we have to play? Obviously, United at home. That's going to be an interesting one because no matter what type of United we are facing, no matter what form Arsenal are in, these games tend to be closer than people always expect. Obviously, Liverpool is the one. Liverpool is the one we need to turn our attention to because Champions League, those two games, kind of are deadbeat games for us because we're going to finish in top 8. If we, more or less, I expect us to finish in top 2, even top, if not top. Because I expect us to beat Kairat at home, Inter Milan away. Most likely Arteta will want to rewrite the bad history, what Arsenal are doing this season when we lost last year to them 1-0 with the 56 crosses we put in the box. At the same time, it's not the same Inter. And Arsenal are much better, more resilient. So I don't know what can stop us, to be honest, in this month. Because if we pass January and even February to some degree, with wins getting piled up, to a very good point, we actually might be fine. We actually might be fine. And of course, we'll have Chelsea in the cup and Portsmouth in the cup. Chelsea away in Carabao Cup semifinals, I think, will be the one that intrigues me the most. But Portsmouth should get the job done. Arsenal need to hold on. Don't play important players if they're tired. We also need to hold on. A big up. But yeah, Arsenal, this is the biggest thing. Rotation right now, at least for a tiny bit, is going to be the massive key. In games like Kairat, in Champions League, we can rotate. Against Portsmouth, we should still win. Yes, it's away, but we should be able to do it with some player rotations. Against certain teams, definitely, we will be able to rotate. The question is, to what degree? Because one thing we always have to remember, Arsenal's rotation so far this season has been kind of stifled due to injuries, and that's mostly defensively, right? In attack as well, with Havertz and Jesus injured, we had only Merino and Gyökeres, so we didn't have many options in that regard. But overall, the less injuries Arsenal have, the more chances we're going to rotate. And defensively, we have good backups. Offensively as well, we have shown that we have very good backups and rotational players. The midfield is the one that's a bit of a worry because Zubimendi plays without a rest, what it feels like, Declan Rice as well. And for both of them, we don't have, in my opinion, adequate cover. Yes, we have Norgard, but he can play one in 6, 1 in 10 games at Arsenal in Premier League. Overall in cups, yes, okay, cool. Same goes for Rice. He doesn't have an adequate backup because Merino in the midfield is more painful to watch than Kim Kallstrom in the midfield, and he didn't play pretty much at all, what it feels like. So we'll see how that's gonna go. But yeah, overall we have very good options. The less injuries we have, especially now with players coming back from injuries. I think against Portsmouth, Chelsea, Carabao Cup games, and Champions League, we have already qualified, so should rotate. Yeah, exactly. Against Portsmouth, we should win. It's Portsmouth. Let's be real. They're one of the last teams, if not in the last place in Championship. So Arsenal rotating, playing players like Madueke, like, let's be real, we should be beating them. Like, I actually, against Portsmouth, to some degree, because it's FA Cup and all this stuff, expect a harder game than we played against Club Brugge. And against Club Brugge, we rotated. Let's be real, Madueke played, and all these men. I think Norgard was at center back and everything. So even though we're gonna rotate, I expect against Portsmouth a bit tougher game, but I still think even with rotation, we should get past them. Speaking of Chelsea, that's going to be an interesting one because if we want to win the Carabao Cup against Chelsea, even though they're not in best of forms, they still always throw a challenge at us. Especially away at Chelsea in the last 3 seasons we have drawn there. We haven't won. That is the case, 2-2, 1-1, and it's not been great. So in Carabao Cup with something more on the line, looking at Mikel Arteta's semi-final record as well, by the way. Because Mikel Arteta, since winning the FA Cup, has played 8 semi-final games. Right? He has 0 wins, 2 draws, and 6 losses. 2 goals scored in those 8 games, which already kind of is a bit of a worrisome. It gives me a bit of PTSD. But once we play Chelsea in the first game away on January 14th, in 9 days, it will answer lots of questions. How prepared are Arsenal to go far in cup competitions this year? Because that has been a bit of an issue for Arsenal. We saw that last year in Carabao Cup and in Champions League. What is the position we need to strengthen? My pick is left wing because Trossard's getting older now. Martinelli isn't that good anymore. I think the positions for me personally, Arsenal need to strengthen is left wing, obviously, as you're saying. I would want a proper backup for Rice because Merino for me is not cutting it. Let's be real. Right back situation is under a bit of a question for me personally because Timber is playing the massive amount of games and Ben White, since he got that massive injury, played like few months with the necessity of the surgery. He has now come back and he can hit the levels, but it looks like he's not ready to play multiple games for full 90 because as soon as Timber was out for a tiny bit and Ben White played like 3-4 games back to back, he broke down again. So that for me is another big question mark. Left back, I think we are good. Center backs, we are good. Striker situation could be also looked at a tiny bit. Maybe another number 9. Saying that, we have 2 different dynamics in the attack. Well, to be honest, 3 different dynamics in the attack if we look at Gyökeres, Jesus, and Havertz. So we can actually kind of mix and match type of situation going on there where we can basically pick out the proper rotational player that we need or proper player that we need for the specific game. Mostly midfield if Vanjeri leaves on loan. Yeah, Vanjeri could be leaving on loan this January. It's not a secret. Everyone's talking about it. It doesn't matter where does he go, but Arsenal will need to replace him. Saying that, Vanjeri pretty much emphatically holds the bench and doesn't play pretty much at all. Let's be real. Because even when our wingers have been injured in this course of the season, Vanjeri has not played at all. Because Madueke was injured, Saka played, we played somebody else there. Left wing's injured, we don't play Vanjeri there. Vanjeri has played cup games. He has played both Carabao Cup games for the full 90. He has come on the pitch in certain games for limited amount of time. The 2 games where he has played the most in Premier League specifically was the games where he came on for Odegaard when he got injured against Leeds and against Nottingham Forest. Those were the 2 games where Vanjeri played 72 minutes and 50-something minutes. Those are the 2 games where he has played the most. And obviously, if Odegaard doesn't get injured, Vanjeri would not get minutes pretty much at all. Rest of the games in Premier League, Vanjeri plays between 2 and 15 minutes. Obviously, he's only, 17? So we could try. He needs a loan, in my opinion, needs a loan. And I think Championship is also, I don't think Championship would be the place for him. For him going to teams like Bournemouth, like Brighton, maybe if we look at how things are going, maybe even to Bundesliga. I think the ideal places like Borussia Dortmund, RB Leipzig, Eintracht Frankfurt, the places like that play actually attacking football that would give him proper game time, would be very advantageous for him, in my opinion, 100%. Big up, Andrew. Big up, Andrew. Hope you're doing well today, bro. I feel like we never try in the first half, but switch on the second half if you want the trophy mentality. Yeah, that is also a big thing. And Arsenal, it feels like Arsenal are second half team because the best games we have won, the most impressive games, always have been thanks to second half performances. It was like that against Bayern, it was like that against Atletico Madrid, and it was like that against Aston Villa. So, and we'll see. We definitely will see. But the thing is about Arsenal, and this has been at Arsenal for ages, what it feels like. Arsenal play from minute one when we play the big teams, most of the time. We have no problem getting ourselves ready and prepare ourselves for the big games. The issue for Arsenal is the smaller teams. You know, your Wolves, your Bournemouths, your Evertons and Brightons and teams like that, Fulhams, where in the first half we tend to kind of figure out our opposition, how they want to play, and then make adjustments for the second half, and everything changes. But there are games where this will catch us out. Even in Carabao Cup against Brighton, right, when we went through and beat them. In the first 20 minutes, we started the game in such a lackluster way that if instead of Pirot they had actually Danny Welbeck up top, it could have been 3-4 nothing. Arsenal should have been at least 3-0 down in the first 20 minutes. So unless we figure out a way how to be just like that, focused since minute one, Arsenal could get caught out. Remember when we were that 22-23 season, that Reece Nelson goal against Bournemouth, when we made it 3-2, right? They scored in the first 10 seconds. Arsenal, again, we're not switched on. And it tends to happen to Arsenal every year that if Arsenal can see it early, many times they cannot actually manage to bounce back. It takes them time. Obviously, over the weekend, we bounced back really quickly. We bounced back very quickly, and it didn't ruin us. And that is something that Arsenal in the last 2.5 years, have been fantastic at, to be honest. Bouncing back pretty much instantly, not letting their heads hang down once they concede, because it used to be a trait at Arsenal that if they are playing hard, they concede, they stop. It feels like they instantly go in a knockdown and they cannot get up, right? But since the 22-23 season, we tend to many times answer to a goal with our own goal in the next 10 to 15 minutes. We instantly switch on and get it back. The issue is that after that, we calm ourselves down and we don't push for the second to basically deliver the knockout blow for the opponent. That I would love to see Arsenal finish certain teams in a quick fashion. So after the course of the rest of the game, we actually just can relax. Let's just say if the game is done by halftime and it's 3-4 nothing, Arsenal can relax for the rest of the half, just see the game out. But obviously Arsenal don't do things that way, and that sometimes is a bit of an issue for me personally. But I'm not complaining at the moment. Big up, Roy. I'm still only taking it one game at a time. Sure, I am as well. But things are looking great, exactly, and that's all the point. We have Liverpool, Chelsea, Inter, Man United in our next 6 games. Let's talk again in February. Exactly, after January transfer window. Let's see the injury situation. Let's see who we sign, and if we sign anyone, who comes, who leaves. Liverpool is going to be the biggest test. Chelsea away, we'll see about Carabao Cup. Inter Milan, it's an important game. At the same time, it's not that important game for me in Champions League because we are pretty much a guarantee the top 2 finish, in my opinion, because I expect us to beat Kairat Almaty at Emirates, which means if we suffer this one loss or draw we get against Inter Milan, it won't damage us that heavily, in my opinion. Obviously, it will tell a lot, but everything, yeah. And United as well. United, no matter how you look at it, is a bit of a question mark. As I said before, no matter what form United is in, no matter what form Arsenal are in, these games against United tend to be closer than people expect. Remember last year in FA Cup, people said, we're going to smash United, we're going to get past them. And in the end, we lost to 10-man Man United in FA Cup. This year as well, when we played one of the first games of the season at the Old Trafford, people were saying 3-0, 4-0. Last time we scored 3 goals. at Old Trafford was in 1972. So it was like 50 years ago, more than that. So these games against United are always very principled, and those are very rough ones. We always make it exactly, and that for me is the biggest worry. Hence, why for me personally that is the case. With Arsenal at the moment, it feels like Arsenal's biggest enemy in winning the league is Arsenal themselves. Because I cannot help to shape the feeling that Arsenal have this tendency sometimes to shoot themselves in the foot, and it has happened over the years. It was like that under Arsene Wenger, it was like that under Unai Emery, Freddie Ljungberg, and also under Mikel Arteta. And if Arsenal can avoid that, if they have learned from these mistakes in the past, more power to us. But at the moment, it's Arsenal versus Arsenal to some degree, if we are looking at it that way. Currently, we make the games close, and it gives me, the close games, that is a big issue. We need to see them out. Don't keep the games close. Try to win comfortably. Exactly. And that's what Arsenal used to do in 22-23 season. We used to blitz teams, and then everything was fine and done and dusted. But right now, Arsenal just play it slow, steady, close to their chest, and as soon as they get the 1-2 goal lead, it's all great. Mikel Arteta says himself in interviews after the games that he doesn't know what's happening to the team, because we scored those 1-2 goals and we stop and we invite the pressure, which obviously he doesn't want to do. The issue is that he says that in interviews. The next game comes, we again get that 1-2 goal lead, and we do the same thing. So something is not clicking in that regard. Either it's mentally or physically, or our players check out for a tiny bit that allows the other team get back in the game. Go figure. Wolves and Bournemouth games, we were quite rubbish in first half. Exactly. In Wolves in general, we were not great to some degree. But in the end, we managed to get it over the line. And people will say that's a sign of champions. But to win the league, you need to have some luck on your side. Let's be real. To win the league, you need to have some luck on your side, because the luck favors the strongest. And against Wolves, it happened like that for us. Like 100%, Wolves scored 3 goals, Arsenal scored none. Let's be real. Big up Kelly Parr, big up Parr. Yes, I am. Yes, I am from Latvia. The only thing that matters is getting the 3 points. Not only that, but we are somehow winning games with teams that park the bus. Exactly. Park the bus, definitely. Definitely, that is the case as well. That definitely is the case. The only thing that matters is that we get the 3 points, no matter how, but we do it, actually, at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how, but we actually do it. Like, sometimes, it's very frustrating sometimes when you watch Arsenal that we look literally like mid-level, mid-table team. It is very frustrating, because there are teams we should be going there and just rolling them over. There are teams like that. At the same time, as frustrating as it is, it might not be pretty, but we get the job done. And that's what counts at the end of the day at the moment. Because you don't have to do things pretty sometimes to get the job done. The people who succeed the most and people who get far in life, teams that win the most, usually do also a lot of dirty work. And Arsenal at the moment are getting their wins the dirty style. Let's just put it that way. By grit and grind, and obviously not doing themselves any favors and everything, but still they get the job done. As long as it doesn't catch us out, it's all great. Because at some point, it is a bit of a worry that the performances are going to get caught up by the results. And those performances who look literally like, what the hell was that? Are going to be accompanied by the results, like, what the hell was that? And if those draws start coming in, nobody's going to be happy. We might actually win the league if other teams keep dropping points. League quality is crap, yeah. League quality has been like that for the last 2-3 years. League quality has been like that for the last 2-3 years. And it's just such a shame that Arsenal have not capitalized on that. We have screwed ourselves over the years as well. When we were 8 points clear, when we finished 2 points of City, we gave the league to Liverpool last year. The league in the last 3 years has gotten gradually worse, right? And this year, it's to some degree worse than it was last year. And if Arsenal don't do it now, this season specifically, the question then becomes when we are going to do it, if we're going to do it. Because Arsenal over the last 2 decades have always been this close to winning it when Leicester won it in 2012, I think it was as well. Over the last few years, we have been always this close to do it, and we always somehow don't do it. That is the annoying part. League is not crap overall, but it's definitely not the same as it was 3-4 years ago. Because again, if you compare, let's just say Liverpool to what Liverpool was 3-4 years ago, if you compare City to what City was 3-4 years ago, it's incomparable to some degree. But if you compare Arsenal, what it was 3-4 years ago, to Arsenal that is now, we are definitely better. So it also would stand to a point that Arsenal actually do something this season. Hopefully as well, because we have to do it at some point, because enough is enough as well to some degree. Man United will play City first, and us later. They might have players coming from AFCON. Yep. They might. Definitely, they might. Definitely, I think they definitely are missing Buemo and Diallo and Mazraoui. They definitely are missing them. The question is how far those players get in the cup, in the AFCON. That's the biggest question. The longer they stay at AFCON, the worse it is for them, the better it's for their opponents. Same goes for Sunderland. Even though Sunderland have 6 players at AFCON, they still managed to get a draw against City. That just shows how serious and good they actually can be. So when they get those back, you can see that Everton are desperately missing Daya as well, who is at AFCON. So AFCON definitely has shaken up a few teams, and they look worse than they are right now, without shadow of a doubt. Es ceru. Teiksim tā, es ceru, ka šis ir mūsu gads, un mēs uzvarēsim beidzot, jo katru gadu palikt 2, 3 gadus pēc kārtas, tas noteikti nav tas, ko es gribu redzēt. Because 4 gadus pēc kārtas būt otram, dabūt quad, tā saucamo, būt otrajam 4 gadus pēc kārtas, tas noteikti no. The scary thing about our lead currently is that we have 2 bad games, and City capitalize, they will go on. So that is the biggest worry. But obviously, City are not the same. City's mentality is also not the same, because yes, they have signed quality players, but to substitute such leaders in the team, right, as even Kyle Walker, as Kevin De Bruyne, as Ilkay Gundogan, as Riyad Mahrez, it's almost impossible, right? And they have done good job signing good players like Turkey. Obviously, they are about to sign Semenyo. They have, technically speaking, Doku, who has very improved from the last season. They have signed Reinders as well, good players, but they are not the same. There are some players that feel like are irreplaceable. Let's be real. Because for Arsenal, there's no chance Arsenal are going to replace Thierry Henry or Dennis Bergkamp or Alexis Sanchez from recent times or Aubameyang. It's very hard to replace players like that. And obviously, it is showing that. It definitely is showing if you look from that point of view. But yeah, let's not forget, we also have to play Manchester City. Manchester City on the 18th of April. On the 18th of April. So in 3.5 months, Arsenal still have to play City at Etihad. And our record at Etihad is not the greatest. Last year, we got a draw. Could have won. Some degree should have won with the 10 men. But obviously, we didn't. So we'll see. We'll see. That game at Etihad will be lots riding on. The closer City are to us, or we are to City by that time, that definitely is going to be... there's going to be a lot on that, and it could actually derail Arsenal a tiny bit, because one thing that I still have doubts about Arsenal is the performances under massive pressure. Because for Arsenal, ever since Arteta took over, to be honest, when the pressure has been the highest, Arsenal have managed to shit their pants, if we are talking non-PG style. And that for me is the biggest thing. If we manage to get past that mental block, we should be good. And obviously, Arsenal have partially already gotten past the mental block by beating Bayern Munich, because that felt impossible for Arsenal for years, for how those 8-2s we have had over the years and 10-2s and all this stuff. Like, it's insane. But yeah, overall, it is what it is. I think if we win the Carabao Cup, it will motivate the team to win the league. Yeah, obviously, because winning breeds winning. This team as a unit has not won, well, squad. Let's be real. This team as a unit has not won anything. Individually, yes, our players have won stuff, but as a unit, as a whole, they have not won stuff. And if they actually win Carabao Cup, it will do this thing. It will actually lift them up. They will get that feeling. They will get the know-how. Pep Guardiola always said he loves to win the Carabao Cup in the late February, early March, because that gives that extra second win for the team to go, and that motivation to go at the end of the season to win more, the league, the Champions League, and all this stuff. So I hope that it also works for Arsenal. Definitely, we should really beat Liverpool without Salah and Ekitike. We should. Yeah, Ekitike is injured as well. Apparently, Ekitike has a hamstring injury, so he didn't play. Obviously, Slot hopes that he is going to play against Arsenal on Thursday, but at the moment, it looks unlikely. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, no, Salah, no Ekitike, we should be able to win. 100% saying that. Salah has not been great this season as well, so hey. Definitely should beat Liverpool. Yeah, they are. They are very inconsistent. Very, very inconsistent. What are your thoughts on Reed's equalizer? That goal was insane. Came out of nowhere, and moments like that sometimes is all you need to get that to get the result. Like that Reed's goal, just you couldn't place it any more perfect. Let's be real. That was fantastic goal. Look at the table between the 4 and 15th place, 4-point difference only. Not saying the league is weak, but it is worse in terms of certain qualities like technical and abilities like it used to be. But at the same time, league is not judged just by the mid-table. League is judged also by title race. And unfortunately, if we look over the course of the leagues, Premier League has 2, 3 at best up top, and the difference is also big sometimes. Bundesliga, the one team pretty much wins it every single year with minor slip-ups. PSG as well in France, one team just wins it all the time with minor slip-ups. La Liga as well, it's usually between Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid just hanging around somewhere in the background. Serie A is the closest one, because if you look at Serie A table, there are like 4 or 5 teams at the top just fighting it out. Like, obviously, I would love to see more teams involved in the title race, because that actually is more exciting. But that actually doesn't also exclude the fact that, for example, fight for the, let's just say, 4th to 8th, for example, right? It's very nice. It's very close, and it's very interesting to see. But definitely, it's going to be interesting. For me, league is weaker than it used to be, but definitely it's not the same. Definitely you would wish there would be more something into it. But just the sheer fact that 5th to 14th is separated by the 4 points, it's great for that time. It's great for those mid-table and the Europe place battles, 100%. City's defense is terrible. We can definitely get the draw against them. We should beat them. Obviously, by then, who knows what's going to happen? Obviously, we don't know how Arsenal are going to look in in April. We played them in 3.5 months. It's going to be a long time till we get there, nowhere there, because we don't know what Arsenal's injuries are going to look like. We don't know what City's injury is going to look like. We don't know what the positions in the table are going to look like, because if by that game there are only 3 points between us and City, it's definitely, there will be so much riding on this game that the winner of that game, more likely than not, is gonna win the league. Let's be real, people. Thank you. Big up Amakel, and thank you. It is a beautiful country. We'll probably be 2nd or 3rd by April. I don't think so. Arsenal are the most consistent team in the league so far, and I don't see anything stopping from there. If we are looking at from that point of view, I don't see Arsenal dropping the quality performances. Yes, it can be influenced by some third-party factors, let's just put it that way, by red cards, too many yellows, although they have reset, so it should not be the case unless you get a straight red. It can be influenced by injuries as well. However, Arsenal have been the most consistent team so far in the Premier League, and it is showing. The nuts part is that Man City, who have been quite inconsistent throughout the course of the season with the wins and losses, even though they're only 6 points behind us, they have room for improvement. I'm not Arsenal as well have room for improvement, but it's very interesting because for example, for Aston Villa, there will be a point where they will have a slump. At least that's how I see it, right? Man City this season are like this, right? Arsenal as well. They're mostly going upwards, but they have a draw, then again wins. The way we bounce back from draws and wins, it's fantastic to see, obviously. But I'm just worried about Arsenal because we always have in the season that type of a period where we go into a slump, where we have draws and where we draw points in back-to-back games, like 3-4 games in a row. That for me is the biggest worry because it hasn't happened yet. If we can maintain the level of consistency we have right now, it most likely we're gonna surpass that with flying colors. But if we get into that slump when it's the most pressure on Arsenal, right? When we are on top of the league and we are, let's just say, 6 points clear still, and then we, let's just say, go on a 4-game drawing streak, right? Or we draw 2, lose 2. It's gonna be a worry because we have these slumps in the season every single year, and I just hope it's not at the time when it matters the most. Let's just put it that way. Mikel needs to understand substituting fresh legs at halftime is important. That the player that is coming on has fresh legs whilst the position has faces is but that mostly plays into hand after 60th minute. There is a reason why Arsenal are leading the league in the goals scored in the first 15 minutes of the second half. In the beginning of the second half, Arsenal lead that by a mile, if I'm not mistaken, in Premier League. There is definitely reasons behind that, and Arteta doesn't make halftime substitutions many times just because of that, because he adjusts something in halftime specifically for the players he has. Do I wish Arteta would rotate players more efficiently, more proactively? Yes, I do. More proactive than reactive to what opponent does? Yes, I do. But it cannot be done always. Let's just put it that way. Obviously, I was very impressed that Arteta, for example, against Bournemouth, did a triple substitution at the same time, and with this window, he instantly took off all 3 attackers, and he put on 3 different type of attackers. That I was very impressed with, and credit for Mikel Arteta with that, because as soon as Saka came on, he was instant impact. Assist to Declan Rice and everything. It was great. He actually did that very good, and I love seeing that type of stuff working quite instantly. Arteta has gone actually many times substitutions spot on. For me, the issue is when we are chasing or drawing the game, many times he just goes to sub on a defender for a defender instead of subbing on a forward. And that for me is the biggest. That game management in those type of situations is a bit of a worry for me. We should have at least 2 titles, unfortunately. Yeah, we should have at least 2 titles, but, well, it is what it is. Arteta has to win 2 trophies at least. For me, Arteta, he needs to win a major this season, without shadow of a doubt. Obviously, getting Carabao or FA Cup is great, because the trophies are long overdue at Arsenal. But for me, this season, Arteta must win a major. A major is a must. Premier League or Champions League, one of them is a must at the end of the day. Obviously. Exactly all that matters at the end is that if he wins trophies, we move on next season. If he doesn't, most likely, but I don't even know if that's going to be the case. That for me is another question. Big up, Biggie. Big up, Biggie. Hope you're doing well. Big up, big up, big up. Our depth is decent. We have players like Eze, Vanieri. Yeah, you see, you just named 2 players that don't get played at all. That is the nuts part. Eze hasn't played on the pitch for 4 games straight. And Vanieri is going out on loan, and he hasn't touched the pitch as well, but it feels like a century in Premier League. That is the nuts part. Arteta is pissed off at Eze because Arteta was yelling and screaming and shouting on him when we lost to Aston Villa away for him not pressing enough and not invert and not staying wide because he was cutting in. And since then, he hasn't seen the pitch in Premier League. Manieri as well, he doesn't play pretty much at all in Premier League for us. And I think he's going to go out on loan this January. But that again means if he goes out on loan, we need to bring someone in, right? So in that regard, yes, with the depth, defensively we have very good depth, right? Attacking wise, you could wish for left wingers having stronger depth, maybe a better striker as well as a backup. But overall depth in the attack is also very decent. For me, the worry is the midfield. Because yes, we have Norgard, but the drop off from Zubimendi to Norgard is way too big. And Zubimendi plays pretty much every single game without a break, without everything, just like Declan Rice. And for me, those two are very subject to injuries, and they're in the red zone. More specifically, Rice already is showing signs of that his body is a tiny bit giving up. It cannot withstand this. And that for me is a big worry, because if we lose them both, let's just say Zubimendi and Rice at the same time, because it can happen, just like we lost Gabriel and Saliba, right? And we have to play, let's just say, for a month straight, or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, when we have about 4 or 5 games straight. We have to play Norgard, Zubimendi, Norgard, Merino in the midfield. Yeah, I won't be very confident. I'm not gonna lie. That definitely will raise some big question marks for me. We are using Eze the wrong way. We played songs and dance just for him and sit on them. Yeah, I don't get the songs and dances for players. I just don't get it. I get if you do it for players who have won you stuff, who have cemented their legacy in one way, shape, or the other at the club. But for the players kind of to have songs and all this stuff before they have done anything at your club, it feels a bit redundant. As it doesn't track back. Yeah, exactly. Arteta doesn't like that. He doesn't track back. And that I think could be the downfall of Eze at Arsenal. Sometimes as much as I like Eze as a player, as much as I love him watching Crystal Palace, I love that he scored hat-trick for us against Spurs and everything. Sometimes I question that if Eze made the right choice signing for Arsenal. Seriously, did Eze make the right choice? Sometimes I question that, because I know it's a weird thought process as an Arsenal fan because he's our player and everything, but sometimes I have these thoughts in my mind that player, he doesn't track back as much. Arteta obviously wants the players to track back a lot. Did he make the right choice? Because it's very evident that Eze doesn't want to do that too much. Someone like Anderson is needed. We need light training, and Zubik has been rested to manage his load, similar to Havas not being involved in the last match. Hold on. In the last match, so you're saying... I swear Zubimendi played in the last game for Arsenal against Bournemouth. Yeah, Zubimendi started and he played a full 90. What do you mean? He was rested in the last game. Zubimendi played in the last game, full 90. I would love for us to sign someone like Elliot Anderson, Adam Wharton, someone like that, to have the player in the team as a backups and everything, or as the starters. I'm gonna go have a big up Bukayo Saka fan. Big up. Have a great day to you too. Enjoy Monday, and hopefully the Monday is great to you and your week goes upwards from there. I wish we could sign Gildis because we are linked with him, and he's amazing for Juventus. For us, left wing improvement definitely is a must. Martinelli he has had one good season at Arsenal, arguably, if you're looking from that way, as a left winger specifically, right? And that 22-23 season. He's very good defensively, but for a winger to be basically labeled as the best defensive winger in the team, I don't think that is the best case scenario for that guy. Because he was bought, obviously, from Brazilian third league, if I'm not mistaken. He was very good as a number 9 under Emery. Under Arteta, we don't see him much as a number 9. When he plays there, he's actually very influential. He's very good there for us, interestingly enough. Even when he cuts inside and free roams into the midfield as a secondary striker, he's very useful and very good there, right? But if you compare that Saka and Martinelli, that they came up at the same time pretty much, Saka has kicked on, even though his last year he has been Since that injury, he's been very, very questionable at many times, right? He's not been great. Saka overall has kicked on and gone better. Martinelli kind of has stifled in his development. Yes, partial issue is the injuries. Yes, partial way how we play is that the system and style we play definitely is not helping him to a certain degree. But I think a left winger for Arsenal is a must, and it's not obviously lots of media at the moment talking about Arsenal being linked with Rodrigo and Yildiz, but both of them basically just are summer signings. We are not signing any one of those in January. I at least don't see Arsenal spending like 70, 80, 90, not even 100 million in January at all. That best case scenario, it is a summer signing. Zubimendi was arrested in Champions League. I was referring to Havertz not being involved in last match, like he was out of the squad. Well, for me personally, I don't think Havertz was even good enough to play at all. For me, the game against Aston Villa when Havertz was on the bench, and fucking hell, my camera is pissing me off. But Havertz was on the bench for Aston Villa game just so basically Arteta had somebody to put there as a number. I genuinely believe so, because there is no logical explanation for Havertz actually being there, warming up on the side pitches, and then not just being in the team at all. So for me personally, I think he was just there to make up the numbers against Villa on the bench just before New Year's. And right now he wasn't with the team. He's not ready, in my opinion. He definitely is not ready. Best, I think we could see maybe if he's fully somewhat ready, we could see him against Portsmouth. I can definitely think so. But against Liverpool, he definitely is not going to play. Against Liverpool, he definitely is not going to play. At least to put him in such a game instantly with no grace period, I think it could be kind of ridiculous. Yeah, Jesus actually came quicker from injury than expected. Jesus actually came quicker a bit than expected. Yeah, and Zubimendi was rested in Champions League game. In Champions League game. When was the last Champions League game we played? Holy crap, you're talking December 10th. That's literally a month ago. That's not enough. That's not enough. 100% not enough. What are your thoughts on Gyökeres? Good player, good striker, just not for Arsenal at the moment. Let's just put it that way. I think Gyökeres would do better if he played together in a two-striker formation, together with Jesus or Havertz or even Martinelli. I think that definitely would make him play better. He does a lot of dirty work at the club, 100% in the team. He does lots of physical battles, which also gathers away attention from other players. The way we scored the third goal, I think it was as well, it was very evident how third or second, it might be the second. Gyökeres, when Martinelli did that flick on with his head, like 3-4 defenders instantly rushed to kind of handle Gyökeres, which obviously opened up the spaces for Odegaard, for Saka to basically go on account, to basically deliver the final attack and to final blow, the third goal. So Gyökeres does quite a few good things. The issue with Gyökeres is he is not the guy who's going to create for you anything. He's not. He's going to be the guy who finishes in the end. Unfortunately, that's not how Arsenal play. Arsenal play with Jesus and Havertz up top, who actually are involved in the finishing, in the creative part, sorry. And with Gyökeres, you get finishing, but no creation. With Jesus and Havertz, you get creation, but you lose finishing. So you win some, you lose some type of situation. Is it fair to say that Gyökeres is shit? No, it's not. Because obviously Gyökeres, he makes good runs. He sometimes gets the ball, but he doesn't score them, so he's going to get crucified for that. At the same time, the team needs to also help him a tiny bit. And obviously the style we play doesn't suit him how he should be, how we can get the best out of him. So I think it's partially on Gyökeres, partially on the team, and partially on Arteta why he's not working. Saying that, he's our top goal scorer in the league with 5 goals. And he actually is involved in certain scoring chances. Just, he does a lot of work off camera, so to speak. He does a lot of dirty work that people tend to overlook and not mention. But I'm gonna say this. That's why not you pay 60 plus million for an out-and-out striker, the hottest striker in Europe at the time. Not to do the dirty work, but to score goals. Do I have confidence that Gyökeres is gonna score like 20 goals this season in Premier League? No, I don't. At the moment, no, I don't. Will he score double-digit goals? Yes, I think so. But will that be enough? I don't know. But it's also very evident that Mikel Arteta doesn't care if you score 50 goals or if you score 20 goals or if you score 10 goals. Arteta has reiterated that and indicated in interviews quite a bit that he doesn't mind not having out-and-out number 9 that scores like 20 plus goals. He much more prefers to play it like a team and share the goals around, which on one hand is very useful and very helpful for the team, for the development, for the attacking style. On the other hand, when it going gets tough, there is not a designated player you can rely on that he's going to get you the goal when you're struggling. And I think with Arsenal, that is one of the biggest issues. We don't have that one-star player who's going to take the game by the scruff of its neck and say, give me the ball, I'm going to put it in the back of the net, you're going to stand back and watch me do it. Because you lots feel you cannot do that. We don't have that. Last player we had that was Alexis Sanchez, in my opinion. And I'll remember how long that was. And Arsenal, I think, need a player like that sometimes. I think playing Havertz and Gyökeres, yeah, it could, definitely. Imagine if we would sign Ekitike instead of Gyökeres. Yeah, if that is the case, I think Ekitike at Arsenal would be more useful than Havertz. Gyökeres. Definitely, I think overall it could be. We need a midfielder in January desperately, though. I think Norgard is decent. Norgard is decent, but he, again, is not the guy you would depend upon every game or every other game. He is one of those players that comes into play once every 6-7 games. Once, to be honest, twice in 10-15 games. If you like, for me personally, if we are linked with Ruben Neves from Al Hilal, I definitely would entertain that option, signing him from Al Hilal. Saying that it's World Cup year, and would he want to be on the bench and not play regularly before the World Cup? I'm not too sure. Big up Gooner SC. Big up. Labrit. It is quite similar, but he has better finishing ability and better technical ability. He doesn't feel as much as Bambi on ice as Havertz feels. They are similar, but they're not the same. Ekitike has certain qualities that Havertz definitely does not possess. But we'll see. We'll see. But with Arsenal, yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm just sitting here and thinking, will Arsenal sign anyone? Like, I cannot figure this out. Havertz has scored goal. Yeah, Havertz has. But now think about what Havertz has missed. And that is the biggest drawback to everything Havertz does. Yes, he has scored goals. He has had one brilliant purple patch for half a season in 23-24 season as well, when he went from midfielder to striker. Saying that, in the most important moments for Arsenal, many times, when he has had the ball, he has whiffed it. And that is the biggest issue here. Against United, missing from 5 yards out, one-on-one misses, countless ones against City, against Brighton last year. Like, there are lots of instances where Havertz scores good goals when there is, most of the time, when there is less pressure on him. When the game is more or less decided. Right? Yes, he has scored some important goals for Arsenal, I'm not denying that. But if I'm not mistaken, quite a few of the goals he has scored for Arsenal comes at the time when, well, there's not that much pressure on the team, when everything's already, the game more or less has been decided. It's not like he's gonna score for you in Champions League semi-final, for us at least, to win to get through. You won't be the one that you rely on, in my opinion at least. He's not that type of player. Yes, he has scored in Champions League final for Chelsea against Man City, saying that it was a very lucky goal as well. The Ederson did a madness there coming out of the goal, the ball bounced in the right direction, all this stuff like. But hey, if you don't risk it, you don't win it. Or he at least but that is the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing, and this is the way I see this. Havertz gets into the scoring positions because he is the part of the link-up play. That link-up play allows to drag defenders out of position, allows him to go in unorthodox spaces or pocket spaces, and then just make a run through the gap. That link-up play, which Havertz is a key part of when we play through our number 9, is the reason why we get the chances we get with him up top and why he gets into those chances. With Gyökeres not having that link-up play ability, that technical ability, right? You have to go through other sources to deliver that final creative part of the play for Gyökeres. And unfortunately, it feels like when Arsenal play, when we don't play through our number 9 as a false 9, as a kind type of a 10, right? In the link-up play, it kind of disrupts Arsenal's momentum and tactical vision, how to create chances and how to actually do something. And that's why I think Gyökeres is not looking as great. That's why he's not getting into those positions. And also, when Gyökeres makes runs, he sometimes feels like he makes the wrong runs. Like he does make some great runs, but he doesn't try. Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Havertz and Jesus fits our system 10 times more than Gyökeres does. 100%. Because we try to use Gyökeres we try to use Gyökeres like Havertz and Jesus, and it's not working because he doesn't have the technical link-up play. And obviously, it goes without saying that Gyökeres is a better finisher than both of them combined. Saying that, Havertz and Jesus are better in creative part, which is arguably about 40-50% of the reason why they get into those positions to score. Would you like to see Rodrigo at Arsenal? Yes, I would. The rumors that we are in for Rodrigo have been there for what, a year? Almost for a year. Almost, right? I would like to have Rodrigo at Arsenal. In my opinion, he's a very good left winger. People say he's not a left winger, but if you actually look at Rodrigo's past, he actually, by default, is a left winger. He plays right wing mostly for Real Madrid because, well, they have Vini on the left or they play Mbappe on the left at times. He just doesn't fit in there. They value Vini more than they value Rodrigo. And I think that is also not great. Also feels like Xabi Alonso doesn't like Rodrigo as much. Vini, with the new contract situation, also is stirring up pot at Real Madrid. Vini hasn't scored in about 18 games in a row right now for Real Madrid in all competitions, which also is not doing him any favors. Definitely. Vini and they both are linked with Edzix. One to Saudi, one to Man City. Arsenal, City, and Liverpool are interested in Rodrigo. Vini is more linked with Saudis, from what I have seen so far. He's a left winger. He played exactly. And people tend to turn a blind eye to that as well. But hey, it just depends. It definitely depends on people whether they want to see it, how they see it, and will they see it. Like, people see what they want to see. Let's just put it that way. It goes also to me. I see what I want to see sometimes. Unless I sometimes take a step backwards to overall see these things. Ooh. Good news. Arsenal's favorite referee. Arsenal's favorite referee is officiating Liverpool game. Anthony Taylor is officiating Arsenal versus Liverpool. Arsenal's favorite referee. Woohoo! If City signs Semenyo, likely they will go for Rodrigo, maybe Chelsea. That's the thing. City apparently will sign Semenyo very soon. Personal terms have been agreed. Semenyo stayed there for the Arsenal game, and I think throughout the next few days it should be done. It should be done. At least that's what I expected. You know it was sarcasm, you bumbaclad idiots. No disrespect. I don't talk about referees here. I don't talk about referees much on this stream. It was sarcasm. You couldn't tell by the saying that it's Arsenal's favorite referee? Come on, man. How long have you been here, people? It's not like your first dayers here. Big up, Damien. Big up, big up, big up. Hope you're doing well. Come on, people. Are you new here? Are you new here? Seriously. What's happening with Semenyo, just quickly? Yeah, Semenyo to City could be the case very soon. Interesting. Semenyo, interesting. He has won us FA Cups, and also he has officiated certain games for Arsenal in the Premier League. That's why I said it's Arsenal's favorite referee, because overall, yeah. Under Anthony Taylor, Arsenal have played 81 games. 81 games are under Anthony Taylor Arsenal have played. 81. 57 wins, 16 draws, and 8 losses. Seriously. It's actually insane. Actually insane. 81 games and 57 wins, 16 draws. So Arsenal get favorable or somewhat favorable outcome in Anthony Taylor refereeing games in what? 73 out of 81 games. He is one of Arsenal's favorite referees. That's why I said it. It was sarcasm, but there's also it stands to a point, because most of the time when Anthony referees Arsenal games, they tend to do good. It's not a surprise. By the way, Guardiola, yeah, they might be injured for City. Yes, I guess they was watching the game. I also read the report after the game that both of them got subbed off with apparent injuries. They played with Ake and Kusanov afterwards, yeah, for 20 minutes. And yeah, they got subbed off with apparent injuries. Obviously, like, we'll see how Man City fare with this, because you could argue they are two of the best Man City's defenders. You could argue that. And everyone laughed at Arsenal that we're gonna crumble when Saliba and Gabriel went down. And we managed to pull it through. But we'll see how they do with potentially without Guardiola and Ruben Diaz. City might get they won't. First things first, if they want to sign Gehi on free, it's gonna be in the summer, so it's not gonna impact this season. If they want to buy him now, they're gonna have to pay pre-penny for him, and I don't see that happening as well. Ironically enough, most of the talks are that Gehi is gonna go to Liverpool, right? But there are also talks, interestingly enough, that Gehi in the summer might join Arsenal. Go figure if that's true, because as always, as every transfer window, Arsenal are getting linked with about 65,000 players, and we sign best case scenario 1 of them, 2 of them. If push comes to shove, let's just put it that way. So we'll see. We'll see. But I have seen Arsenal being linked with Gehi in recent times, so it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to go. Let's see. I'm just quickly going through transfer news. If there's anything regarding Semenyo, regarding Arsenal, and everything, Arsenal's still on this the same. Yeah, he didn't celebrate against us. Yeah, he didn't. And after the game, as you know how people do these conspiracy things. He didn't celebrate against Arsenal. After the game, he was chatting to Eze. He shook Mikel Arteta's hand. Madueke was there and all this stuff. Like, you know how people do these conspiracy theories. And it actually works because media is running with it like genuinely like hot knife through butter. They're just riding the wave. Seriously, they're riding the wave big time over this one, which is quite interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm genuinely just sitting here and looking at transfer news, trying to figure out that will Arsenal's What are the links for Arsenal? Because there are not many, and Arsenal in January are so silent, it's actually worrying sometimes. Because people can say, oh, we don't need signings, but we actually do. We technically do, especially if Vanjiri goes out on loan, we actually need somebody in. You're doing watch along for another match? No, I'm not. I don't do watch alongs on this channel. I absolutely don't do watch alongs on this channel. But we'll see. You know what player I wouldn't mind having at Arsenal? Ironically enough, it's Igor Thiago, the Brentford striker. He's gonna go for such big money in summer if he is getting sold. If he is getting sold in summer, he's gonna go for such big money. Interestingly enough, so time only will tell about that one. But yeah, only time will tell. But yeah, there's nothing regarding Arsenal, which is very, very surprising. Well, not surprising. I would expect at least something regarding Arsenal, some transfer links. Obviously, it's only 5 days in. This day hasn't even begun or finished. But overall, there's nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's actually kind of interesting. There will be a full stadium fan-activated display at the Emirates before Arsenal face Liverpool on Thursday. That's going to be a fun one to see. I'm not going to lie. But overall, yeah. No news regarding Arsenal. It's I'm not saying it's worrying, but I'm not saying also it's good. It's actually interesting. Arsenal are linked with Rodrigo, right? But I think that's a summer move because I don't think Arsenal are going to sign anyone big in January at all. Best case scenario, we sign someone for 30 million and that's it. That is the best case scenario I can see Arsenal signing anyone. 30 million max. Because if Arsenal want to sign anyone massive, I expect them to sell someone. And I don't see Arsenal selling anyone this January window, at least personally right now. But maybe Arsenal can pull one out of the bag. Maybe we can actually have someone in January window because after last year's madness and nightmare we did, maybe Arsenal will have learned from their mistakes. At least I hope so. I hope Arsenal have learned from last year's mistakes. That is the all hope. But yeah, people, I think on that note, I'm going to end today's stream for now. I'm most likely going to be back in the evening. If I'm not, I'm very sorry. But I have planned to be live this evening. So we'll see if that's going to happen or not. Haven't figured everything out as of yet because time obviously is of essence and time is actually very, very close. But yeah, for today, thank you so much for being here. Smash the likes, subscribe if you're new. And I am off. Gonna go relax and do some chores. Peace.